fine. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Chaotic Wholesome Talk Show. We're off to a start tonight. I am Kate Purcell, one of your co-hosts, and David Lee, full rubber ducky. This is going to be a night, y'all. We have two Davids. It is excellent. My brain is already tired. We're going to overheat. It's going to be a great time. Please, everyone laugh at me. David Lee, full rubber ducky. Who are we? What are we doing here?
Hi. Welcome to the Chaotic Wholesome Talk Show, where each week, every Tuesday at, 6 p.m. Eastern?
Or something.
We talk about TTRPG stuff, how to be a better GM, how to be a better player, cool things that we have come across, mechanics and other things, all with a focus on intersectionality and inclusion so that we all can have a good time.
And we are here today with a very special guest. Please welcome other David, David Hallman, Staghorn.
It's awesome to be here. Thank you all for having me.
Thank you for being here. Tell us a little bit about who are you and what do you do? Why did we agree to have you on this very illustrious, like in high demand show?
Now that question, I think the answer is because you don't know me, and you didn't know better. What I do? What?
You did come recommended by Saucefire, which maybe we should have looked into further.
Yep, that should have been the final nail in the coffin. I I am David Hallman. I also go by Staghorn. I am the Fungin Master for Good Better Quest, which is an actual play D&D podcast. It takes place at right now at an adventuring college called Fair University, and it's a fun podcast. We're going to be bringing up the next season sometime soon, and I also play on Twitch a lot, which is not relevant, but that's just a thing.
I mean, look, a lot of people, like, I know so many people who are like, I do TTRPGs, and I spend a lot of time playing video games on Twitch, and both are awesome. And, you know, just find that content creator balance, which Twitch absolutely does not want you to have if they're like, you should be working 200 hours a month.
Yeah.
That's how much you should be streaming. Yeah, thanks, Twitch. Thanks, Twitch. So, I am super excited to have you. For those watching, Good Better Quest is currently on hiatus, but that means you get to catch up if what we talk about here gets to be exciting. God, this is Stag, because I'm going to have to do Stag and Ducky, y'all, because there's two Davids, and I refuse to just stick to other David, because that's just not cool. I'm not okay with that.
It's A-okay. At this point, I have been on enough things with David Telstra that I've just accepted that I'm Stag. That's cool.
I got to do, we were talking about this before, I got to do Waterdeep Tales with David Telstra, and that was such a treat. I was so happy how quickly we just clicked. Like, it just worked. It was awesome.
He's a delight.
So, tell us, I'm going to ask you two questions. You can tackle them in whatever order you desire. Hey, Candace! Yes, he is a treat. Candace the Magnificent hanging out in chat.
Fantastic.
Tell us, how long have you been GMing, and how long has Good Better Quest been running?
Good Better Quest has been running, I want to say, since sometime in 2019. It's funny, we actually started recording it, and I think the day we released the first episode, the Adventure Zone announced they were going to do graduation, and I was just like, damn it. But it's been going on since 2019. We've tried to keep it up every year, have a new season. But we've got two players that have had kids in that time, so it's hard to keep up,
I feel like with podcasts and streams, or podcast and stream games, like you either have like a plethora of too many people trying to get in and play with you all at once, or like
Yep.
kids and moving and work, and it becomes chaos.
Yeah. But I've been DMing, I would say successfully, maybe since 2015. I started in college, was not good. I did what I called a drunk campaign, which was I made a playlist on my iPod and a chart of uh, places that people would fight or puzzles or something like that. And the very first encounter I did on it, the place I rolled was forest, and I pressed shuffle on the playlist, and the first song that came on was Jaws, which was sharks, just sharks.
Land sharks.
So
Yeah.
they were tree sharks.
Tree shark, excellent.
was-
I
yeah.
grew up in a very strange era, or I didn't grow. I was just getting too old for cartoon when Street Sharks came out. My brother was super into it, so yeah, this tracks. We got Saucefire causing some chaos in chat, and we got Ducky having chaos with his headphones. So yeah, I told you it's gonna be extra chaotic today. Can you hear us?
Fun fact: Kay has never outgrown cartoons. The end.
I really haven't. No.
I haven't. I certainly haven't. I live for them.
So I'm gonna say this real quick for those of you hanging out in chat. I'm sorry, YouTubers, this doesn't apply to you. But if you're hanging out in chat, you're going to see that my channel points have changed, and a couple of the options have left for the moment because we're getting ready to start Godplane, which is a horror campaign. And you're going to be able to redeem those dream shards, which is the channel points, to help out the party. So, you know, Saucefire is heartless and clearly just wants to burn all of his channel points on highlighting his messages, which we are going to get to right now. But yes, if you are watching and you're like, I've been watching for a while and I've got 2,000 points built up, what should I do with them? You should sit on them until Thursdays, and then you should come in and help out a player sabotage me because I'm very mean in Godplane.
Yes.
So, Sauce. Okay, Stag, you can roll any d20 and add a +1 to it. And I feel like I'm invoking Sauce rules. This can work in any game that you're in. These are Sauce rules.
Oh, it's too late. I wasted it.
Oh,
like a
what'd
full.
you get?
I got an 8, so use
So
that
got a
how
9.
you will.
You got a 9. Okay, well.
No, it was a 7
Oh,
plus
it was a
1.
7, and then gotcha. So we're gonna do this correctly. We're gonna do this via Twitch rules. Saucefire highlighted his question of what are the guests' opinions on golems made of human teeth?
Sauce is familiar with the guests' opinions on this because he put one in the game, and it was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. Let me be clear. It wasn't just the fact that it was made of teeth. It was also the fact that it made noise of teeth. Like noises you hear. Yeah. No, it's too much.
This is amazing. Watching Ducky's reaction. No, we're building a horror campaign. We're totally not going to torture Candace with it. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. I do think we specifically have no tooth torture in our thing. If we don't, maybe we should add it.
Yeah, we should. So, Kay and I played a game with Gabe Hicks, and in it, my character has an obsession with pulling teeth from creatures and or people that have found unfortunate circumstances. And we're not going to talk about how they fall into said unfortunate circumstances. But if you are not alive in his vicinity, then your tooth will end up in a bag. And of course, I thought about this, and one of the items listed in what's the book with the Feywild, the center in the Feywild that came out from Wizards?
Wild Beyond the Witchlight.
Yeah, in Wild Beyond the Witchlight, one of the items is that you can start with is bag full of human teeth, And I was like, this is perfect.
And we played in the Feywild. It was a Feywild game.
So there are going to be some T-specific things that happen.
No.
Just
Fun fact. Well, I was just gonna say, fun fact. Tooth fairies work for much larger bone fairies. If you wanted just more horrific tooth things.
Types bone fairy.
I'm gonna take it back the other way, which is like one of my favorite things on the internet recently was when they had the it like happened a while ago and then it resurged again recently, and it was people who have goats. When baby goats are obnoxious, they put pool noodles over their little horns, and I'm like, that's what tiefling parents do. You cannot tell me that is not what tiefling parents do.
Yep. No, that's fantastic. That's how you're grounded as a tiefling. Is you got the noodles. Don't know what to tell you.
The other question is, what are the guests' opinions on baby Warforged? How do Warforged even have babies? Counterpoint.
I'm for baby Warforged. It's cool. Baby Warforged is fine. Totally cool.
For anyone like me who is not read up on Warforged, from Wikidot, the Warforged were built to fight in the last war, capitalized. The first Warforged were mindless automatons, but House Cannith devoted vast resources to improving these steel soldiers. An unexpected breakthrough produced fully sentient soldiers, blending organic and inorganic materials. So yeah, they're cyborgs. They're magic cyborgs.
Yeah.
And
in one of my favorite charity games, Brennan Lee Mulligan played a druidic Warforged, and he literally had like a Hey Arnold stone head, and his body was made out of tree trunks, and there were like vines that animated him. So like that, I could see that as a baby Warforged, right?
That's so cool. Yeah, I played a Warforged with Sauce, that was essentially I want to say 9 or 10-year-old boy's soul in a Warforged. So I'm on board with little bitty Warforged. Where they come from, let's not worry about the war stork.
Yes, the war
so
stork.
why are you out here trying to make cybernetic child soldiers?
Yeah. No, that was on me. I played him like Baymax, essentially, but Baymax who was obsessed with casting Fireball on himself. So, yeah.
Yeah, the next question, and then we're going to dive into some actual discussion. Because Sauce, It's not chaotic wholesome this time. It's chaotic.
Right.
I am in charge. You are not in charge. Love you, Sauce.
And eating garbage. He did eat a lot of garbage.
Yes.
Do you
regret letting Sauce figure out your backstory?
Never. It was the best thing that ever could have happened. It was so great.
If you are ever looking for a GM, Sauce Spire on Start Playing is amazing. And you can get if you were the first one to sign up, you can get 2 seats for $20, which is bananas, an award-winning GM. But we don't know how long that rate's going to last, so you best rush over there.
Yeah, you better sooner rather than later.
Yes.
You do not assume control. That is the answer. So
how do you assume control? There's an answer, but you cannot afford it.
Here's the thing about assuming control, Sauce, is you make an ass out of you.
Yes.
I'm not involved.
Rex says you can assume anything you want, but that doesn't make it true.
Yep.
I love how pedantic
exactly
up in here. It's wonderful. This is what my brain needed today. I love y'all. So I want to talk a little bit about we've spent a couple. I guess we haven't spent episodes on it, but we have spent. Question I do not stake. We have had some conversations throughout earlier episodes. Sorry, y'all, Manhattan's very loud. This is with the windows closed. We've had some discussions about home game versus stream games and pacing and like I've spent a lot of time in stream games. I'm only in one podcast game, and I am I am double fortunate. Number one, I love the Emergency Power podcast. Thank you all for having me, putting up with my nonsense, Solarian. But I get to not only just show up and play, I don't have to edit it. And David and I have discussed podcasts, and I'm like, you gotta edit them. And he's like, but what if I don't? And I'm like,
Yeah, that is
no,
the one
you
barrier. It's
gotta.
like, oh man, I would
You
love to
gotta.
put out a
Yep.
ooh, but that sure sounds like work. And if I'm allergic to anything,
It's work. I feel it.
So, you know, there is a distinct difference between a home game where you just kind of get to do as much or as little as you're feeling that week, a stream game where you got to show up and perform and be on the whole time, and like, you know, sometimes that thing you want to do has to get cut short because you got to make a thing so that you can, you know, what's the audience think and da da da. And then a podcast game tends to have this nice little in between space where I don't want to say I recently had a moment. I did a thing in character that hit so hard that we had to take a break before we could finish that scene, and that was totally fine and easy to do because we were on, like, not streaming. But that's not always an option. Like on stream, that is an option. Like, hey, y'all, we're gonna break, but it's much easier to gloss that over in a podcast. So tell us a little bit of your experiences and your thoughts around home game, stream game, podcast. What's the pros and cons? Like, what's the easiest? What's the hardest of each of those? I know that's a big question. We can break it down.
No, it's all good. I mean, home game is good. It's you know, that's just for you and your friends, and you can do literally everything forever that you want, no pressure. You can spend 30 minutes making jokes about macaroni and cheese. We're all familiar with this. The big difference between the stream game and the podcast is being on stream. You have to show up. You have to be there. If you do not have the energy, it's apparent, and it slows everything down, and you know, and everything you say is solid. It's done. You said it, unless you got a very forgiving DM. Everything is all right. You said you stabbed the guy. It's we're doing it. You stabbed him. The podcast, the thing I really love about doing the podcast is I have several times I have started describing something and said, let me start off. I can't tell you how nice it is to be able to reset the scene when it falls kind of flat. And there's a lot more. What is the forgiveness is not the right word, but leeway for dead air.
Yes.
And yeah, and you know, I feel like all of these are fun in their, you know, their own different way. The home game is literally anything you want, but the podcast and the stream games, as someone who spent too much money and time to become a theater major, it's a good, you know, place to stretch your legs, to do scene work, to really set a scene together. We did if I'm talking too much, please
Not
tell
at
me
all.
to.
Not
I
at
mean, that's
all.
what you're here for.
Okay.
Exactly. You talk and I don't have to. Like, no, please.
We invited you on so that you could watch Kay and I talk about something completely different. So Kay, about that Star Trek episode last night.
It's totally cool. I'm good at making interested faces. It's almost I could
Same.
almost get a job doing that maybe. Yes. Oh, it's all in the eyebrows because I'm bald. But there have just been several times that I've really gotten to just come up with something on the spot. We did a game with David Tilstra. Nolan and I did. Nolan is someone else on Good Better Quest. He is one of my best friends since high school, and he and I are playing with David and Andy, and David and I got to do a scene where my character met the main crew, and it was good because in a stream and podcast setting, in a home game you're telling a story together. That's very true. But in a Twitch and a stream and a podcast setting, you have to tell the story together. You can't let the DM carry it. You have to pick up and set the scene a little bit yourself if you're a PC. It's that's the long way of answering that question.
Like, one of the things I find nice about the podcast is, like, first off, so my podcast, I play in a Starfinder, and there's a lot of rules, and everyone likes to argue about the rules of Paizo games. Like, if you're not arguing about the rules, are you really playing a Paizo game? Like, that's just kind of the common knowledge of it. And, like, we're able to say, like, hey, we're going to cut this. Okay, so, no, I think that's wrong. And, like, two people start arguing about, no, this is how it works. No, we're going to look it up. And I'm like, cool, I'm going to get a drink. Y'all have fun.
Y'all have fun with this.
And all that gets to leave. So, you just have to figure out, okay, what's the energy? But also, like, just last night, I was on a game, and right before we went live, the GM was like, hey, do you want to do this big plot twist with your character? Right? Just popped in my DM, said, do you want to do this? And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm down to clown. Oh yeah, let's have fun with that. And so, like, I kind of had ideas, and he's like, you take the lead, like, do what you want. And then we went through this whole thing, and we did the big reveal, and it was really fun. And then it was like, you look, they're like, they're getting ready to leave. They look at your character. What is your character doing? What do they look like? And it was like, I froze a little bit because I'm like, oh, I did not prepare for, like, and I was like, oh no, like, I'm usually really pretty good, but I'm like, this is a big moment. I have to make it count. I need to think about it. I can't think about it. Okay, I need to say I'm not ready to answer this, so it's not just dead air with me staring with wild eyes at the camera. With a podcast, you can be like, hold up.
Right.
Let
Processing.
Yeah.
The little wheel is going.
Hold on. Let me
got it.
let my brain explode a moment.
Also, Rex, y'all need to stop feeding David and I ideas. Like, most of Godplane is written, but there's still more room for more terrible things. Rex just said,
it's not like we're not working on other things.
Right. I have, but have not yet played a Warforged who is slowly becoming flesh. It very much wants to know why this is happening.
This sounds like... So it's funny that Guillermo del Toro is coming out with a version of Pinocchio soon, because honestly, if I didn't know any better, I would say that's it. That's the version he's going to put out.
Also,
but I don't think it is.
My brain, which is very easily obsessed with certain shows and is rather obviously obsessed with Critical Role, is like, yeah. So like in Critical Role, it's not canon only because Matt Mercer keeps yelling it's not canon. But Sam's character is a Warforged robot, and he's like, I have a flesh tongue. And they're like, no. And he's like, he has earlobes, not ears, just the lobes. And they're like, no, this is not canon.
See, that's the problem. He needs to let it be canon. Especially because Sam does what he wants. And honestly, if they let him do what he wants in that scenario, he's going to paint himself into a corner.
Oh, yes, but then someone else is going to have to get him out of it.
Also, I find it very entertaining when Sam doesn't get his way. So,
yeah. That's fair. Yeah.
He's like, I'm not letting it go. I'm going to keep bringing it up. And it's like, it's not canon. Just watching Matt.
Just let him paint himself into a corner, and then finally, when he's more person than fresh cut grass robot, now what, Sam? Now what?
I think my favorite comment ever made was at some point, I forget what was being said, but Matt just shook his head and goes, Sam is definitely the paprika of our crew.
What does that mean?
That's ooh-wee. That could mean a lot of things.
That's great accompaniment to deviled eggs. I don't.
Better when smoked.
Yeah.
But yes, so that is, and this is, I was just discussing with someone, he's good on chicken.
Yeah.
I was just discussing creator burnout or DM burnout last night with someone, and it's like, I do think regardless of, and I've gotten a little bit on David about this. I haven't harped too much, but we were discussing like creator burnout, GM burnout, and how like I'm so excited GM Godplane. I want to GM more, but also like I also feel like I need a game or two where I can just show up and play. And that doesn't mean that I'm not constantly plotting new things for my character to do and taking really intricate notes about what the party's doing and how I can tie that in and what are my theories. But like not having to sit there and plan everything. If the GM who ran my game last night announced after our game, this is the last game he's GMing. He's done GMing because he's been GMing 25 years and has rarely, if ever, been a player. And it's like, you need a game where you can just show up and play.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And you're reminding me that I need to do that for my brother-in-law, who is the forever GM. We had a game for a while, and then it turned. Realized too late, for some reason, like idiots, that the crew for our main game where he's the GM and the crew for the side game where I'm the GM is the exact same group of people, just me and him switched. And so obviously if one of them can't play, it's not like we can go, all right, here's the other campaign. No, beans. Yeah.
So tell us the inspiration for Ready Set Quest, other than knocking off this other thing that was going to do a college campaign. No, I'm kidding. Totally kidding.
It's a good better quest is all good.
Sorry,
but
I good better quest.
You are A-okay. It's a ridiculous name because all the good names are taken.
I just messed it up. I mean, yeah, all the good names. It's rough. It's rough out there. Getting a Twitter handle or tag is just like
impossible.
Yeah. It's a good show. We did a side arc, but the main arc is what we're calling Bachelors in Dungeoneering. Because it's following an adventuring party going through the adventuring college of Faerun, and it's it's especially special to me because one of the big concepts in it, there's two things. One of the things is a lot of it takes place on a college campus doing things related to the college. And I grew up on a college campus because my dad worked at the University of South Carolina, Aiken. And my house was 5 minutes from it. So I went there for summer camp. I went to sporting events, like all since I was like 5 or 6 years old.
Mm.
So just college is a place I feel comfortable and familiar. And the other is at the very beginning of the show, um, the characters had to go through the labyrinthian dungeons um, below the school to find the people that they would be housing with for their entire, college career, essentially. And
That's a lot of pressure.
it sounds like it is, but it's not that bad. I don't think I had a plan for if people didn't get along. And I'm not going to because everyone gets along, sure. Um, but the mechanic I brought in is the first person they make eye contact with in the dungeon. A string formed, an astral string formed from one heart to the other, and you could feel it and hear it. This strum as it connected, and throughout the game, that heartstring has connected to all the team members, um, and it's a mechanic that I've brought into the game where sometimes some of the people they meet, they form a heartstring with them, and they're not part of the team, but they're, they make a connection with this person. And one of the reasons um, I've done that and have worked it into the game is I had a lot of friends back home in South Carolina, and as we've gotten older, obviously we're all moving around. But in the game, the heartstrings, you always know where those friends are. You strum it, and it goes in their direction, and they aren't with you there. They're not sitting with you, but they're still part of your life, and they're always there when you need them or want to talk. And um it's schmaltzy and cheesy, but it's a literary, not quite physical um representation, but it's basically how I feel about all my friends and things that I've had to say goodbye to for one reason or another. Um, but I consider them still, connected by the heartstrings and stuff. It's again super hallmarky cheesy, but um it's one of the things that makes this game very special to me.
Yeah. Rex says that is a beautiful idea to bring to a table. And I mean, I can't imagine how impactful and how hard hitting that must have been during the pandemic when no one
Yeah,
could see each other, and just that idea of like, hey, look, we're bound by heartstrings. Like, that's
yeah,
cool.
yeah. No, and
Um,
yeah,
and I've noticed, especially with like watching streams that Kay has been a part of, watching other streams, that sometimes the point of D&D is to give you what you need, and sometimes what you need is something heartfelt and connective.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's great that you've designed something that can provide that.
Yeah. No, it's fun and it's nice. I don't really know what else to say about it without getting a little choked up thinking about it. Sorry.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But speaking of mechanics, so you've DM'd quite a bit, and Kay and I often talk about mechanics. But as a DM, what sort of like not rules as written mechanics have you worked into your games and your DM approach?
My the way I handle things is I am sure other people do this, but it's I call it the rule of cool. Which the way I run it is honestly just, excuse me, is this game breaking? You know, there's a fine balance between is this game breaking and will this scene be epic as shit, just so crazy. One of my players headbutted a mind flare, and it's a thing of like, can you do that? Probably technically, but
Is it smart?
should you? Yeah.
Probably not a good idea. Though
It's
that said, if you're in front of a mind player, they're probably already pissed off. So what are you really risking?
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, it got it right in the beak. Um, just it's just any time something funny or ridiculous could happen. It's the main question is, what does it hurt to let this happen? Um, and 9 times out of 10, it does wind up hurting a lot more than it should. It's, but not as bad as like, oh well, you said the gun does this damage, for this reason. And it's you can't just say, well, that was a one time thing. It's more of like, I filled the bag of holding with beer. You said I did that. I did say you did that. You know what? And like, what does that hurt? Does it hurt to let your players walk around with a bag of holding full of beer? Which I'm no mathematician, but that's a lot of beer. Um,
And now you're like, roll a grappling check to stuff the fire elemental into the bag of holding.
exactly. It's like, can you do it?
I'm
Just yeah. I'm trying to remember in our game. Um, shoot, I can't. I'm drawing a blank. I'm side note, I'm also undergoing electroconvulsive therapy for bipolar depression, and one of the things that happens with that is it fucks with your memory. So pardon me if I can't remember certain
that
things.
is that is certainly the
Uh,
most unique and impressive reasons for I am drawing a blank. Like,
I it, it's side note, just following that for a second. I shortly after I started doing that, my wife and I went and saw um Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. I don't remember a damn thing from that movie.
Sweet.
I
See it again for the first time.
yeah. Well, the only thing I remember, and I've told everyone else this, is that Bruce Campbell was in it, and Pizza Papa always gets paid. That's all I remember from that movie.
That's amazing.
If that is your takeaway from the movie, there are other things you could take away from that movie, but that is a very good thing to take away from
That's
that movie.
honestly, in my opinion, it might be the best. I don't know.
And fun fact for anyone who is watching, memory loss is also a symptom of long-term depression and anxiety. So if you've lost chunks of the pandemic, the isolation, what's it called? The quarantine. If you've
Yeah.
lost chunks of quarantine, if there are episodes of the show with the guy from Texas, Tiger King. If you've lost entire episodes of Tiger King, you'd have to watch it again. One, I'm sorry, and two, that is normal.
I completely forgot that show existed. And honestly, I don't.
I only convinced David to watch it recently-ish, and he was not prepared. And then I got to be like, hey, so fun fact about me. I grew up in Texas. I grew up in the middle of nowhere. And I always had to like try and explain my weird upbringing to people who just didn't understand. Of like, and now I can say like, hey, I grew up closer to a big cat rescue than a grocery store. And
Oh my God.
my parents sent me to private school because when they were looking at the public school and I was getting ready to start kindergarten, they discovered that the public school had 5 football coaches and no librarian. And I have since learned that that was the high school that Joe Exotic graduated from. So
Oh my God.
I grew up in the town where Joe Exotic was a cop. And if you didn't know, Joe Exotic was a cop.
Which Zoinks Scoob.
Yeah, I'm really glad I didn't know a lot of that. I watched probably half of that show and then I was like, you know what? I'm already mad. I don't.
I was watching that show like, oh, I'm finally going to be able to explain to people. Finally going to be able to explain to people.
People get it now.
Yeah. Like, it was
Kate
not that
told me.
extreme, but yeah.
Yeah. I remember now some of the real stuff. We did a crossover event with From Afar with our characters from Good Better Quest and the main cast of From Afar, and I made several items that Andy's character, Arius, who is a hobgoblin samurai, could take from another hobgoblin who was a blacksmith, and she had a cigar the size of a small child's arm in her mouth, of a specific root that he smokes. And that was an option for him to take. I was like, you can have that. It never runs out. You know, it's a magic cigar. But instead he went with a giant frying pan for a shield, called the frying ram. Even though one of
As
the
it
other
should.
thing, yeah, that was a good item. The other I was more proud of was basically gave you the ability of like a monk, to catch,
Intercept missiles.
yes, essentially that. And I was really proud of that. The whole stream was breakfast themed, by the way, but that item was called the Rudy Tooty. Please don't shoot me. And I was
You got to get
very
that for
proud of
Kato,
that one.
David. You got to get that for Kato. I'm sorry, other day. We have one of the players in my home game. All of his characters are named after food items, and he is a gladiator who wants to open a gladiator fighting school and also a kitchen, a restaurant. He is a
Oh my God.
He is a dwarf fighter who wears plate mail and uses twin short swords with spin attacks, and his name is Vita Mixur.
And
Okay,
I am
dude.
waiting for the day where he is standing in a gladiator fight pit with two swords, and then I throw a bunch of enemies in there, and he goes, "Ah, you want to get down in here with the blender?"
But no, it's fun seeing people who are like, oh, this GM does rule of cool, and then they start to try to like manipulate it. Because it's one thing to use the rule of cool, especially if it's like
Yeah.
it's a moment and it's your character arc, and you're like, this is technically against the rules, but can I do it? And you're like, this
Yes.
is a moment for your character. And then sometimes people get a little too cozy with that. And
Yeah.
I'm watching Dimension 20. Unpopular opinion, Fantasy High is not my favorite of the series. I'm also not big on the whole high school thing, and it's very high school tropey.
Yeah, we did high school once, and that was enough.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
done.
One
But,
would argue too much, but you know.
I'm watching the second season, which is a live play, and Allie's character, she rolled up a cleric with a 6 dexterity. So she has a -3 modifier to dex. And they have an item that's basically a ribbon dancer, and they have done very well through several scenes where they're like using the ribbon dancer to distract, right, and doing performance checks, and like guards are just like, and then other people get to sneak around. It's great. And then at one point, their character is trying to get down multiple stories very quickly, and so Allie's like, okay, so what if I whip out the ribbon dancer and I just use it to kind of like fly down into the lower tower? And the whole table's like, with your -3 dex? It's like, yeah, it's just like, and so Brennan's like, okay, are we gonna do this? Okay, what do you think is a reasonable dex check to do this? And so Allie starts haggling, and then Brennan's like, okay, just think about this while I'm shaking these handfuls of dice, right? And I was like, no, I think she can do it. She's awesome. She could do it. And he's like, all right, roll me a dexterity check. And Allie rolls and is like, that's a 2. So it's a -1.
-1.
And Brennan's like, okay, remember, you did this. You negotiated this. Drops dice for fall damage. You fall 100 feet. And like,
Ooh.
I don't really enjoy rules haggling. I really don't. I want my players to get to do cool stuff, and I want to be able to do cool stuff, and I'm like, hey, can I do this? And the GM's like, no, you can't. I'm like, cool. Had to ask, right?
Yeah.
But once someone is like, no, I'm sure I could do it. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
are you feeling froggy?
You have made your bed.
It's like I'm saying with Sam. Just let him do it. Let him keep getting it. Just
Let's see. Sauce says, one of my DM tenets is that the players should feel cool and do cool stuff, and I'm here to facilitate that. Rex says, there are decisions that haunt my players. One decided he wanted a really cool sea elf weapon. Now it is making him get nauseous around the bodies of fresh water.
That's fantastic. Oh my god.
Okay, so I missed this earlier because we were deep in discussion. Saucefire gave you another +1 to any D20 roll because you are the cutest. Hold on, I'm missing it here. To Stag for being the cutest person on the planet and possibly the solar system. And is now giving a +1 to any D20 roll to any DM who drops case characters from a great height.
Wow.
I have been let down before.
I can't wait for Sauce to guest on y'all's horror show at some point. Just so y'all can send a little love that way.
Yeah, I'm gonna cook up something just for Sauce. There's gonna be
it's gonna be
teeth golems and falling. The whole first episode is just going to be falling.
No. Here's the thing.
Oh no.
Sauce fears nothing.
I'm a torture everyone. I'm gonna do a teeth golem, but here's the thing. It's not just a teeth golem. It's a teeth golem with cavities that have like insects coming out of the rotting places on the tooth.
Everything is awful.
Yeah.
and humanity was a mistake.
Yep.
I just
Like I said, don't mess with me. If you're feeling froggy, you best hop.
Yeah.
'Cause I
That's
will hop back.
oh boy,
That's pretty spicy.
it's a little too spicy for the pepper there.
Sauce has shards to burn and does not care about the God Plane crew. +1 to Sauce whenever he guests on Kay's horror show, and then another +1. Rex says +1 to Kay to balance that fall roll.
Good.
Thank you, Rex.
I was gonna say something, and I've been complete.
We
oh
got
yeah,
way off.
Sauce. So, Sauce may not be afraid of everything, but whatever we do to everyone else, we're going to make Sauce's fault. So he better buckle up for that.
Sauce is about to become the Patrick Rothfuss to y'all's game. Patrick Rothfuss would constantly text the C team, be like, "Hey, try this." To the point Jerry Hulkins was like, "God damn it, Pat."
Here's the thing. Go ahead and turn off your camera, turn it back on, and if I have to fix it, David, I will fix it. David's camera is just being. So it's gonna break, and then David's gonna come back. And we good. Look at that. Brilliant. So we talked about Kay has never outgrown cartoons. And I will die on this mountain. At least the first couple seasons of My Little Pony Friendship and Magic was great. And I understand, Ducky, you can't watch it. Understand.
Yeah, can't do it.
It was good. There was an entire Halloween episode where Fluttershy, my personal favorite pony, is terrified. She's a coward, and she would always hide. It wasn't Halloween, it was Nightmare Night. She would hide every Nightmare Night and just hang out in her cottage with all her animals and be under the bed and be afraid. That's what she did. And then at one point, the rest of the crew figured out, oh, well, maybe, what if you do the scary thing? Right? What if you don't have to be scared? What if you make a little scary haunted house experience for us? And so she did. She sets up and everyone comes in and she's all like, oh no, Rarity. It's like a tea party. She's like, welcome to the spooky tea party. Oh no, Rarity. She's wearing the same dress as you. Oh no, Twilight, you were the host. And now there's no sugar and Rainbow Dash wants sugar. I feel like that would work on Sauce. I feel like that's how I would break Sauce.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Also, that type of horror is so specific and so poignant that it would put someone on a 72-hour hold. Like they would just completely lose it.
It's too specific. It's almost hurtful. It's almost sociopathic.
Right. Like this is cruel and unusual. Like this is a horror game. You didn't tell me you were gonna get mean.
It's yeah.
Well, that's rather like we did an episode just a little bit ago about my personal favorite kind of characters, which are edgelords and like mean, grumpy characters. Because I love them, but they have to be done very specifically. And it's like, whatever you do, if you know the person who is, if you're playing a mean character and you're like, I'm gonna say something mean about that character, if the player and that character have that same trait, maybe check in before you say the mean thing, because you don't know what that might trigger.
Yeah, like, if you hit them with so you go into the kitchen and you have to put food away and you go for the Tupperware and there are no matching lids, that might break someone. They might shatter into a million pieces.
I would break everything.
Yeah.
No,
like,
I
very
would
real.
be fine. No one else would survive.
Right.
I have
would
a
turn into a
hard
barbarian.
time. I have a hard time being mean in reality. Unless I know, whoever very well. And then it's just goofing. So in games, I have a very hard time coming to correct people. And well, here's the thing: is it's either not that great or it's too far.
It is a tough balance. I
It's
on my podcast, I get to play like this very like jerk character, and I like to play like the perpetually frustrated mean,
yeah.
right? Just like, and so like we went up against a big bad, and wait, have we gotten this far in? Where are we? I think we're fine. I don't think I'm spoiling. But like we come up against a big bad, and he's holding. Yeah, we're definitely fine because we're to that. So he's like holding a child hostage, right? And has been like like training this kid, and is just being like a horrible, over the top bad. And my character's just like, you're setting a horrible example for the child. What is wrong with you? This is not how you run an evil organization. This is how you get assholes like me coming to kill you. Stop.
I love goofing with my characters or with my players. Just I think the biggest thing is I don't make fun of them a lot, or you know, that kind of thing. What I do wind up doing, often on accident, is giving them a lot more credit with a plan that they have, and for some reason being surprised when I find out what they were actually trying to do and how just dumb it is. My friend Nolan is playing a tabaxi gunslinger who has a plan to go out and see if anyone else has this thing that it has a certain heartstring essentially in the game. And he says, I think we should go to the cafeteria and check and see, you know, who has it. And I was like, no, and that's a really smart idea. I hadn't thought of that. That's a really cool thing that you had. And then he sets the scene of kicking the door to the cafeteria open, his character jumping on the center table in the cafeteria and shouting at everyone to see if they have been to this place that they shouldn't be. And it that was just me. There was a good probably 15 seconds of me just like, I don't know what I expected. I don't know why. I don't know why I thought that was gonna go well. My expectations were so high, and then like Batman's parents, he shot and mugged them in an alleyway. I just I forget. I don't make fun of my players. They do a pretty good job making fun of themselves. Our bard in the game is their main art seems to be self-deprecating humor.
I can get behind that.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic.
Ducky, I feel like you should probably share the spider sign. I feel like this will be a story that will be appreciated here.
For anyone who plays tabletop, especially for people who haven't DM'd before, one of the best things that you can encounter, and one of the most chaotic, hair-pulling things you can encounter, is when one of your players makes a joke that changes everything. Or when you make a joke, and then they use it as a cudgel to smack you over and over and over again.
Repeatedly.
There was a one of my little like very basic World of Warcraft quest was go kill spiders, bring back spider venom. And my quest giver is telling the team, "Hey, go bring me spider venom. I need it for things, for activities." And they go, and our fighter says, "Well, how are we supposed to get the venom from them?" And in my infinite wisdom, I say, "I don't know. Maybe ask them for it." And this person turns to the rest of the party and says, "Do any of you speak spider?" And it becomes this absolute, complete kerfuffle and a complete and total journey of one. All of my players now go out into the world and go, "Hey, do you speak spider?"
Do you speak spider?
And this is supposed to be a secret quest. No one was supposed to know, and so you have one person going, talking to like a food vendor, and be like, "Hey, by the way, you just sold me some jerky. Do you speak spider?" And then another character going, "Oh my God, stop asking everyone. We're not supposed to."
We're not supposed to talk about spiders. First rule of
My
Spider Venom
God.
Club is you don't talk about spider venom.
And this led to two things. One, having to build out several NPCs, including a new god for the Pantheon,
Oh my God.
all to orchestrate this one specific quest. But also, same player who asked is sitting by a fireside with someone and says, "Hey, by the way, there's charcoal left in that fire. Can I take it?" And I'm like, "Sure. What do you?" And they're on their trip, and it's like, "Hey, do we have anything that's like a sheet or a blanket or a like wagon cover?" And I'm like, "Yeah, go." The next thing, and then then this player gets real quiet, and much like two toddlers left in a room alone, if
Yep.
there is silence, there is a problem. Boom, in Discord chat, he says, "I want to put this on the side of the wagon during this long rest so the spiders can see it." And he draws this whole pictogram, this whole flag of his character talking to like with a speech bubble with spiders, but it's all pictograms. And so it's like a little food bubble. We're not food. We're just trying to trade you for spider venom. And I'm like, how do you MS Paint? I am a dwarf looking for spider venom. We come in peace. On the side of a whoo, whoo. And it was at this point that I realized that I fucked up.
Yep.
And everything I had done, everything I expected out of this, all my expectations, all of my predictions, all of my careful planning was wrong. And I very much had a Matt Mercer moment of like digitally tear up a bunch of things and throw them away.
Yep.
Whew.
Rex Verde says, if I see players typing and it does not show up in the group chat, I know I'm in danger.
I had this somewhat similar. The first thing my players wanted to do in the bachelor's in dungeoneering thing, as soon as they had just time themselves, was they wanted to go into the woods out back behind the school.
And bring Old Yeller?
Huh?
And bring Old Yeller?
No.
Yep.
No. Just
Give him what he deserves.
no. Just at this point, blatantly ripping off Harry Potter.
As
And
tradition.
yeah, exactly. If it's not Harry
Hopefully
Potter,
with
it's
less
Lord of the
turfs.
Rings. Huh?
Hopefully with less turfs.
Yes, exactly. 100% less. But they go into the woods and they go with the express plan of killing goblins because they find goblins. So they are in this forest, finding goblins that are fighting them back, and they're like, "All right, isn't this fun? Just going into the forest, killing boars, essentially. Getting that grind." And they come back, and the next day, walking out of the headmaster's office is a goblin, yelling at him angrily. And it's about that time they find out the goblins in the forest are refugees.
Oh no!
From their land, which is having a civil war. They're caught in the
Light
middle
war
of.
crime.
Yeah, just a little bit. And it's that time that the headmaster is like, "Cool, so you were gonna have this other mission, but now it feels like you should make this up."
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got
That
some-
was a fun arc. I am not good at doing I couldn't think of what to do for a goblin dialect, so I wound up trying to do like a Jamaican thing. It was not good. It was bad. But you know what? It worked perfectly because later Nilbogs came in and those were Irish. So it balanced out. No, it didn't. But it didn't balance out, but it did make the joke of polar opposites work a little bit. What is the best type of goblin? Where does Spice Goblin rank among them? Spice Goblin's top tier, top number 1. Fantastic.
And if you have not seen a Court of Fey and Flowers, salt goblins are also excellent.
Oh,
Sounds like what Toffee did for Backwater in that one show with Kate Emphier. Yeah, that was such a fun twist. I had so much fun with Toffee in that game. Did not expect it to go that way. So we are nearing the end of our time. I did want to ask you, Stag. We've talked a little bit in previous episodes about like, hey, if you're wanting to, start streaming, be it video games or TTRPGs, focus on like my tips, personal but also pretty well backed up. Start with you don't need a great webcam, get a decent webcam. Really focus on your lighting, really focus on your audio. And then go and see if it works, because you might start it and it might not be for you. It's happened to a lot of people. If someone is like, if David's like, you know what? Or if Ducky is like, it's time, let's go start the podcast. What do you suggest for people wanting to start out with a podcast? What's the basic setup? What's the basic equipment? And you don't have to go super detailed, but how much time should one expect for editing? On average, obviously, learning curve. That sort of just basic info for someone who's like, yes, podcast, let's go.
I would say, the main equipment you want is a decent microphone. Your webcam mic is not going to be good. Audacity is usually the software we use because it is free. And typically if you're not all recording in one room, I know me and my crew just use Skype to get together, and we also record that call in case anybody's audio on Audacity is lost or messed up or something like that. So that's just a good backup, save you some time, hopefully, and not have to redo a whole episode. Editing, yeah, editing. Woof. If you're just getting started, it's gonna take a while. It's not gonna be a one sitting thing. And I would recommend going online to see what you can do as far as like just things to make the audio sound better, or crisper, or whatever you want in that respect. But other than that, if you are using Audacity, assign hotkeys. I have A and S, and A is cut, and I believe S is copy or something like that. And yeah, I would say those are the good beginner things for like equipment and stuff. But the biggest one is you need to make sure you're having fun. And that is not. I'm not saying that like, and be sure to have fun with it. No, if it's not enjoyable, don't do it. I like that's the thing. One day, Nolan and Kate and Doug and I might just say, I'm not having fun with this anymore. And at that moment, that's gonna be it. It's if you're not having fun, who are you doing it for? The biggest person you want to do this for is yourself.
And it's definitely like a labor of love, which any of them are.
Yeah.
Showing up, getting 4 to 6, 7, 8, 9 people in a room together to play D&D, in and of itself is a labor of love. Getting that number of people to show up, energized, ready to perform, is a labor of love. Sitting down after you've done this, especially after, I don't want to say a bad session, because that's not what I mean, but a session where things didn't go the way you wanted. A session where I'm not
What?
on Twitter. Why are you yelling at me about Twitter?
Right.
Sauce is all, okay, get off Twitter. Oh, I bet I know what happened. Sauce, I am a professional. I have a program which puts out tweets randomly even if I'm not sitting there hitting the tweet button. So I'm not on Twitter right now, but I'm still tweeting. Because I'm just that good. KB on Twitter twice as hard, says.
God.
Scheduled post went up. Brilliant. Fun. Okay, so Buffer is broken again. Awesome. I'm not that much of a professional. That's what I get for tooting my own horn. But yeah, it's definitely a labor of love, especially when it's like, we had a plan, we did a thing, it didn't work. We're in a bad place. Now I got to sit down and edit it. But also, like, if you're a player like me, I love when they're like, here's the new episode to review, because I'm like, what did I miss? What can I take notes of? I'm so excited.
Yeah. No, I've definitely caught things re-listening to an episode that I definitely missed, actually playing. It's so like that's another thing. Always listen to your stuff. Like you were there. Yes. If you were editing it, I get why you don't want to listen to it. And honestly, for you, it may be okay not to, but you definitely want to listen to it just to make sure, get a feel for your sound, for your style. But yeah, that's the main thing. And again, I say, have fun with it. Like,
And especially,
it's the most important.
Especially the first couple episodes, or whenever you bring on a new person, leave time for tech. Tech gremlins will happen. Someone's thing will not work right. Schedule time for that.
Yep. There's going to be 30 minutes at the beginning that you're going to need to do that. But also to just goof and have fun. And whether or not you record that is up to you. David Tilstrip put in a rather crass joke that I did not realize he was going to, that I told from Prairie Home Companion in the latest episode of the Side Venture we were a part of. So also be careful. If you're not editing, yeah. You don't know what's going to go up.
Also, you don't know how life is going to happen. You don't know when your software is going to malfunction or when you're going to lose audio and you're going to have to be spending a lot of time editing up. You don't know how any of this is going to go. So bank episodes, and don't just bank 2 episodes. Have a bunch recorded before you start putting them out, or else it gets real stressful trying to do. No, we gotta. Someone has a family emergency and you can't record, and then you're just boned, and it's terrible.
We do half a season before we start putting it out.
My advice is find a K to do all your tech for you so that you don't have to worry about it. Works great. Believe I sleep great every night knowing that the tech is taken care of.
The K I found does not have purple hair, and you would think that there would not be a tech related association with that, but for some reason there is. I don't know what it is.
For emergency power, our man in the man in the box does not have purple hair, but still does an amazing job.
Yeah. No, as my K is blonde, very handsome, and a man. My friend Nolan.
For what it's worth, I am blonde under the purple.
Oh, okay, cool.
No,
all right, so it's more purple. It's purple all the way down.
It has been purple for 15 years, so more people know me with purple hair than know me as a blonde. And in fact, when we did the Backwoods game with Toffee that Candace referenced earlier, I wore a blonde wig because it was a Southern game. We were all characters from the South.
That hurt real bad.
People melted, like meltdowns. It was hilarious.
K with long hair and K with blonde hair are 2 things that should not and hopefully never happen again.
I mean, it did happen during the pandemic because...
Yeah.
Chat, Candace says, still not over it. Chat, if you have any questions for Stag as we wrap this up. Ducky, I'm sure you want to ask our traditional closing question. The very important, the most important question of our podcast.
The most important question we have on this show. What is your favorite Pokemon?
I always really liked Squirtle. He was always what I chose for starter. Yeah, he's sweet. He's cool. I like water a lot, so that's why we get a lot. And I like turtles. He's fantastic.
Sauce says it was so close to the correct answer, and then a Bulbasaur emoji, and then also gave you Stag. Can you please make sure I don't fall asleep before 8 p.m. so I can actually attend your game?
Give me your phone number and I'll call you. I will call Canada. I will call the Prime Minister. I will make him wake you up. Make them wake you up. I don't know the Prime Minister in Canada personally, but I'll find that number.
Stag, thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Thank you for having me.
For those, tell us again who you are, where we can find you, and where they can catch up on Good Better Quest, not Ready Set Quest.
It's all good
this time. Look, it's the 3 words. It was real good, right?
I know
that can be your spinoff. That can be your spinoff. When you do the athletics department, like the athletics majors.
Yeah. We'll focus them on that. My name is David Hallman. I also go by Staghorn. My Twitter is @stag_horn. My Twitch is also stag_horn. I'm often on there playing video games, usually in the mornings. Lately it's been Slime Rancher 2, so if you want to come just chill out, it's a super happy fun time.
It's been fun watching that game break all of the devs' expectations.
Oh yeah. At GBQ Pod is our the podcast Twitter account, and we are, I believe, most everywhere that you can find podcasts. It's good period, better period, quest exclamation point, and it's pretty good. We've got a fair amount of backlog if you'd like to catch up.
David has
I
dropped
would
those
say
links in the chat.
you can skip season 1 if you want, because we were finding our legs. But if you want to deep dive, go for it.
Well, thank you again. I am Kay Purcell at KDamnFear. You can find me all across the internet there. You can find David and I here every Tuesday doing this. And if you have a topic you'd like us to cover, or you would like to come on and talk, please ping us. We are always looking for folks. As I said, I am lucky and get to be on a podcast. You can find me on the Emergency Power podcast, which is a Starfinder game. Every other Wednesday. The next episode is coming up tomorrow, 28th. Oh, heck, we're almost at the end of the month. And we're doing a thing. Next month, I'm going to be over on That D'Angelo's channel on the 16th, playing Homies in Horror with Sage Ryan and Drac. And I am totally hyped about that with Candace the Magnificent. It's going to be amazing. And I've been told I can promote this, so starting Wednesdays in October, starting at 11 a.m. Eastern, because it's actually a European game, I'm going to play in a Critical Role campaign. I get to play a Volstrucker, and David, I get to play Vymond. I get to play the first D&D character. When I sat down and went, I'm going to make a specific D&D character, this was the first specific D&D character I ever made, and I have yet to get to play him. Finally get to play them in this game. I'm very excited.
Fantastic.
And then, yes, we just announced a thing, David. David, what are we doing on Thursday?
On Thursday, we have our original horror campaign that Kay and I put together called Godplay. It is a horror campaign, and we have really incredible players, including Candace the Magnificent. God, I almost said Jen.
That was last time.
Piper, Herb, Urban Bohemian, and Carrie, who we had on recently. Do we have a shout out for Godplaying? We should. There it is. Haha. Sauce found it.
Yes.
With art by Cozy Spoon and graphic design by Jason/Dobokame here in chat, which if you have not seen it, go on to the socials, find it. It looks really great. Dramatically exceeded my expectations.
So amazing. And we actually, if you are a fan of Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realm, they are sponsoring us. So come on by and get yourself a code for a chest so you can get your in-game items. So we are so excited and so grateful. And of course, Good Better Quest, anywhere you listen to podcasts, right?
Yes.
Right?
Yes, correct.
Good. Making sure. I take to go everywhere podcast. No, only on Spotify. Okay. Wherever.
No, only by carrier pigeon.
Wherever you put podcasts into your ears, you can go listen to Good Better Quest and Emergency Power Podcast. And that will be delightful. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for your questions and your commentary, everyone. Chat, you are always amazing. Let's see, who we gonna raid today? Who's hanging out and doing a thing? Oh, Xanderific is playing Majora's Mask. We heart Xander. So let's go. We're unable to. Okay, I guess we're not raiding Xander. Xander is not accepting raids. So that is not who we are raiding.
Penny Arcade is doing Warhammer. That's probably
Arcade
painting.
then. That's fine. Oh,
Yeah.
now playing. Okay, is this actually going, or is this a holding page? They've got a. They're on a holding screen. I don't want to send everyone to a holding channel.
Okay.
I will suggest one, Kay.
Please.
Check your
I hate that the
Discord.
raid channel only shows like 4 or 5 people. It's not like here's all. It's not black. Yeah. Okay. Yes, we are gonna do Black Girl Gamers. Oh, they're playing Plate Up, which is like what's the cooking game?
Overcooked, but
Overcooked. Thank you.
Ooh wee, overcooked.
Unable to raid them
Overcooked doesn't.
too. Twitch might be having a day. It might not
Yep.
allow me to raid. Let me just for giggles. Dungeons and Dragons is live. We can't go wrong with just sending people Dungeons and Dragons. And if we can't raid Dungeons and Dragons, then we can't raid anyone. We're unable to raid D&D at this time. Okay, we can't raid tonight, y'all.
Yep.
We can't raid tonight. So.
But do you want to try one last one?
I will try anything.
This
I'll try
is
anything once, not anything once. I will not
a
make that
trans
promise.
creator who has cracked me up the last few times I've gone to her channel.
Excellent.
Dadgummit. It's Nemesis Network.
One word or underscore? Oh, I see.
One word.
Let's see. Let's try. Yep. Twitch is broken.
Twitch is broken.
Twitch is broken.
All right.
All right, y'all. Thank you for hanging out. I'm sorry for the chaos ending. Thank you again, chat. You're amazing. David, both Davids. Both Davids are awesome. Let's hear it for both Davids. All of my Davids in the house. My milkshake brought all the Davids to the yard, and I am so fortunate for it. Go check out Good Better Quest. And thank you all again. We will see you next week, and hopefully on Thursday for the God Plane. Talk to you then. Bye.